Forms of power sharing. Okay, now what are we going to do? We are going to see how power is shared. So initially power used to get restricted in one hand. Now when I say one hand, that means I am talking about monarchical system or dictatorship, where power restricted in one hand. Okay, but in a democratic form of government, we have power distributed in many hands. That means there is a shift from of power from one hand to many hands. Okay, so this form of government, this type of government, we see normally in a democratic form of government, we see the sharing of power is being done. Now, how is the sharing of power done in a democratic form of government? In the modern democracies, powers are shared at by different ways. So the first way in which power is shared is among the different organs of a government. Okay, so what do we understand by organs of government? Organs means that there are three types of organs in a government, that is executive, legislature and judiciary. Okay, executive, legislature and judiciary. Now executive legislature is the body that makes laws. So L for laws. So you will understand by this that legislature is the body which makes laws. Okay, executive is the body that will execute the laws. Okay, and we have the judiciary system that keeps monitoring whether these two systems are working properly or not, and as well as in case of any sort of dispute, the judiciary system is going to give its final verdict. Okay, so judiciary system gives the verdict. So we have these three organs in a government. Now all these three organs, they rest in a same position, that means at same level, and they are having equal powers. So we cannot say that any particular body is superior to another. They all share equal powers and they are at the same level. So that is why we call power sharing in organ level, okay, among the different organs, is horizontal power sharing. That means the level is same and all of the three organs, they share equal powers. So what is the advantage of this sort of power sharing? That means horizontal power sharing or power shared among the different organs. What is the advantage? They keep a check and balance. Okay, a check and balance is developed between the different organs. So no one can supersede each another. Each body keeps a check and balance on each other, and judiciary, it acts as the final body. In case of dispute, its decision stands final. So judiciary is that body. Okay, so this is the first form of power sharing at different organs. Now the second form of power sharing is done among the governments of different levels. Okay, so now we are talking about governments. First was the organ and second is the government. So how many types of government do we see? We see basically two types of government, that is at the center there is a central government, and in the state we find the state government. So when power is shared from the center to the state and from state to the center, vice versa, as we have seen in the case of Belgium. So this sort of power sharing is, since a sharing is done in this way, that is we do it in a horizontal way. Okay, so this sort of sharing of power is called as horizontal level. Okay, so horizontal means one. So horizontal level mein power is being shared. Now what are the features of horizontal power sharing? That there are two or more than two tiers. For example, in India we have already seen that there is a sharing of power from center to the state, and then from the state to the lower level, that is the panchayat level. We have seen, okay, panchayat municipal levels, the power is also being shared. So two or more types of power tiers are there. Now this is one particular feature of federalism, and we have already seen in the chapter federalism. Therefore this sort of system, it promotes federalism. That means two or more tiers is there, and powers is being shared by the different government among the governments of different levels. So this promotes federalism, the concept of federalism. Okay, and we find, sorry, this is not horizontal is sleeping line, this is vertical. Just make a correction, this is vertical, not horizontal. Okay, so this sort of power sharing where we see one, so that is vertical form of power sharing. Okay, that is one. Okay, now the third form of power sharing that is there is among the different social groups. Now social groups over here means among different religious or linguistic groups. Just in the case of Belgium, we saw that power is being shared by the community government. So when you share the power in different social groups, that means you are actually sharing your power among the weaker sections of the society. So when you share the power among the different weaker sections of the society, then what happens? We are giving them power. That means we are empowering them and they feel empowered. So in this way they feel very satisfied, the weaker section feels very satisfied, and it will not go for a revolt. Okay, so finally this will lead to a political stability. Okay, so among the different social groups, if power is shared among the different social groups, then this sort of power sharing will lead to political stability. And the example for it is the community government in Belgium. So main features that socially weaker sections feel empowered, and the system of reserved constituencies is therefore introduced for the social groups. So even we have the system of reserved constituencies for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, SC, ST, OBCs. We have it in India. So this is the third type of power sharing. Okay. Now the next type of power sharing is done among the political parties, pressure groups, and the different movement groups. Okay, so we see how is power shared among the political parties. Now for the political parties, if a democracy is giving freedom to other political parties other than the ruling party, if freedom is there for other political parties, then what do we find? We find a competition in the democracy. Okay, so in that way the ruling government can be questioned on what sort of work it is doing. It is for this reason we get to see the opposition sitting in the parliament in India. Okay, why? What does the opposition do? The opposition sits in the parliament, questions the government on what sort of work it is doing, and keeps an eye on the working of the government. So this is first benefit of the political parties. If their power is shared among different political parties, this is the first benefit. What is the second benefit? Now we know that in India, to make a government, that is out of 500, we should have at least 251 seats. Now in type of election, any particular party does not get a majority, in that condition, what happens? The smaller political parties, they come together and they form a coalition government. Okay, they go and get this total number of 251 and then they form a government. So what this is the second benefit of these political parties. If power is shared among the political parties, we see coalition government in such a case, okay, where the one particular party does not enjoy full majority. We have already seen it in the case of Congress getting the support from its other AIDMK parties and all. In the time of Congress, we have seen such coalition governments. Okay, so this is political party. Now what about the pressure groups? Whom do we call pressure groups? Pressure groups are basically interest groups. These interest groups includes industrialists, businessmen, traders, and people like this who give their say in the government. Okay, so the government needs to ask these groups, and before making any major economic decisions, they need to consult these groups so that they are working for the welfare of the country. Okay, welfare of the people and welfare of the country. So because of this, these pressure groups, they are also very important part in the power. Power is shared among them also, and they're very important part in a democracy. So we see that the pressure groups, they influence a number of decisions in the government committees, and they influence the decision making process. Okay, now what do we understand by the movement groups? Now the movement groups are basically social groups. For example, we can have groups like for making of dams or against building of construction of dam. Okay, we can have a social group. As we know, there was a group which was led by Medha Patkar, and she was against the building of dam on the Narmada river. So such sort of social groups, okay, maybe NGOs and all, they also have a particular say in the government, because they it is with their support only that the government can smoothly work and think about the progress of the people. So if power is shared among the movement groups also, then this also leads to stability of the government and a stable state as well. Okay, so with this we come to the end of the chapter. Now, yeah, so with this we come to the end of the chapter. Okay, now once again this picture. Okay, what does the picture tell you? Let's see, what does the picture tell you? Recently it's written, we gotta keep the rain tight, Valamdir. Recently some new laws were made in Russia giving more powers to its president. During the same time, the US president visited Russia. What, according to this cartoon, is the relationship between democracy and the concentration of power? Can you think of some other examples to illustrate the point being made here? So you should be able to identify what has been shown in the picture. Okay, so please study well, prepare well, and all the best for your exams.